Alright, welcome back YouTube. We are back with the final subclass of the Demon Slayer mod showcase that I've been doing for the past couple of days. This time we're going to be taking a look at the water breathing. Here's a brief description of it. Water breathing is a breathing style that mimics the flow and adaptability of water and replicates it to the user's movements, techniques, and abilities. Features a wider variety of forms for more flexibility in combat, as well as an improved ability to chain multiple forms together in a single turn. So that definitely should be interesting to see how that turns out, because we saw that a little bit with the thunder breathing, but I'm definitely curious to see how it does with water breathing. So, you get your Slayer passive, which I've covered in the flame breathing. So if you haven't watched that, I recommend watching the flame breathing, because that goes in a little bit more detail about the Slayer passives and the techniques that we're just going to be glossing over as we show the water breathing techniques and the abilities that you get with this. So, the first subclass feature, which is going to be pretty interesting, is you get extra attack early on at level 3, which is pretty strong in the early game, having that at level 3 to be able to do 2 attacks with one within one turn. So definitely very strong starting out. The first action that we get is the first form Water Surface Slash. It does 4 to 12 damage. It does cold damage, because I don't think there's a way to do water damage technically without modification, so cold makes sense. Releases a single horizontal slash that potentially leaves the target bleeding. It takes 4 breathing points and does 1d4 cold damage and 1d10 slashing damage. You also get the second form Water Wheel. Unleashes a horizontal spin, slashing enemies in a small circle around you. So, a little bit different to try and replicate, simply because you can't do a water wheel moving forward. So it makes sense to have it sort of like an area of effect attack. It seems like also, you have the ability here, I believe that's, I want to say it's like cold or wet for one turn. It leaves like a wet surface, if I'm not mistaken. And again, we talked about the Slayer passive. These just kind of give you either bonus damage to cold or elemental type that you pick. The resistance just give you more resistance to cold. Beheader allows you to basically guarantee a critical hit within your next attack once you kill a creature, so on and so forth. I explained these in the original video, so definitely go ahead and go check out that video if you want to know more details about each one of these. So I'm just going to quickly gloss over and pick some of these. Alright, at level 5, we got a new sub-feature here. Water Safeguard means you cannot be frozen, nor can you slip on ice, which is actually pretty strong. This allows you to actually have enemies slip on ice and you can't, so very, very strong. We get our third form, Floating Dance. Swing your blade and dance in a flowing pattern, slice enemies in your path as you rush towards the target. So, this would be very good if you have a target in the back line you're trying to chase, but there's people in front. You can do damage to those enemies as you reach them, so definitely we'll try and test this out here in a second. You also get a new Slayer passive. Again, just kind of pick what you want. At level 6, we get another battle technique, and then we get some more actions. We have the fourth form, Striding Tide. This does a multiple slashes that deal about 1d10 regular slashing damage and 2 to 4 cold damage. Excuse me. Will perform a multitude of slashes in a flowing fashion against the target opponent. The final hit pushes the target back 5 meters. So this is another multi-hitting attack that we saw both with the flame and the thunder breathing technique, so definitely looking forward to seeing how that works. It looks like this does a little bit more slashes than the other one. I think about 5 strikes from what it looks like, 5 to 6 strikes. And then we get another battle technique here. Again, just pick what you like. At level 7, we get the improved extra attack. You can make 2 additional attacks after attacking with the main weapon, so I think this leaves us up to 3 attacks, which is pretty strong for this class. As you notice, though, the health increase isn't as strong as like as some of the other ones, but that's neither here or there. Obviously, this depends on what the race you pick and stuff, too. We get 2 more actions. We get the 6th form, Whirlpool. Twist your body, performing a fierce whirling motion that cuts anything caught in your blade and current and pulls enemies in, potentially leaving them bleeding. So this allows you to pull enemies in which you can follow up with another attack. So I'm starting to see the combinations of what you can do to follow up with different forms. It's starting to make sense. And then we have the 7th form, Drop Rippled Thrust. Perform a precise, extremely fast, and accurate thrust with your blade. Seem pretty basic, but again, these would be combinations with some of the other moves, such as like the Whirlpool or the Water Wheel, so on and so forth. Alright, at level 9, we get the Demon Slayer mark and an extra attack, like always. And then we get the 8th form, Water Basin. Slash vertically in a flowing motion, damaging enemies in a radius around the target, so this is another area effect attack. And then we have the 9th form, Splashing Water Flow Turbulent. That is long. Mimic the flexibility of water and adjust your footwork to gain immunity to fall damage in difficult terrain, increasing your movement speed by 5 meters, increase jump distance by 3 meters. You also cannot be knocked prone or moved against will. This effect lasts for 2 turns. So that's actually pretty interesting. We have like another bonus movement speed that we can do on top of our breathing concentration. So this allows you to really be mobile within the battlefield. So it definitely plays into the part of being able to go in and out of battle and just kind of like traverse through the battlefield like water. So that's actually pretty interesting. At level 10, we get the 10th form, Constant Flux. Charge 4, performing a continuous flow of attacks on up to 4 targets that increase in attack with each strike. So this is kind of the reverse of the improved Thunder Clap and Flash. This does more damage the more targets you target. The last target taking more damage. The first 2 targets take half damage, while the last 2 targets take full damage. So definitely want to have the last target, probably like your boss target, in the background, versus having the weaker targets in the background, so on and so forth. You get what I mean. The final target also has Wet applied, which can be followed up if like a cold or a thunder attack or anything like that. Takes 12 breath. I don't know if this is going to be usable or you have to do like a long rest afterwards. It doesn't really say in the description. We also get another battle technique here. And finally, at level 12, we get a new subclass. We get the Hashira Mastery Water, which is like the mastery that we get for both both Thunder and Flame, so really not too much different there. And then we have our final form, 11th form, Dead Calm. This is just definitely going to be interesting because I definitely don't know how this is going to play out. Sees all movement enter a state of complete tranquility where you can react to any incoming damage with your blade. For the duration of the form, you gain 20 Dead Calm reactions, increase AC by 5, and unlock the Dead Calm reaction abilities likely to taunt enemies in range. Personal creation of Tomioka Gyu. Again, butchering names, I apologize. So, Dead Calm reactions. Let's take a look at this. It is a replenishable resource used by water-breathing practitioners to make reactions while performing the 11th form Dead Calm. Now, I assume the reaction is that you'll be able to attack and do damage as someone hits you, sort of like a counter attack. That's my assumption, and we're definitely going to try and utilize this in the combat scenario. I can also try and do it with the test dummies to try and see if it targets on that as well. So definitely interesting technique, and I'm definitely curious to see how that looks. And then, as always, whatever you want to pick for your ability points or whatever. So, we're going to go ahead and demonstrate the moveset here after I kind of set everything up. So, we'll be right back, and then we're going to do a battle showcase as always. Alright, so we're going to go ahead and try and demonstrate these techniques. Some of these are going to be a little bit harder to showcase than others. Especially like the 5th form, Blessed Rain after the drought. That's going to be a little hard to showcase, but I'll try my best to demonstrate that. I do have an idea for that. But anyway, the first one's going to be the 1st form, Water Surface Splash. It's going to be your standard strike. Next up, we have the 2nd form, Water Wheel. Now, this is not going to work on these guys because technically they're not enemies. But the general idea is that whoever's in the circle here is going to take damage. So, fortunately, it's kind of hard to showcase that, but I'll definitely do that move within the combat scenario. Next up, we have the Flowing Dance. So, by striking the enemy in the back, we're able to, excuse me, we're able to do damage to each one of the enemies here while going to that target. Next, we have 4th form, Striking Tide, which is our multi-hitting attack. Very, very strong, and I do like the multi-hitting attacks and effects. This one is going to be a little bit hard to demonstrate, but I have an idea. This is the 5th form, Blessed Rain after the drought. This is the move that Tanjiro used in the 1st form to peacefully cut off the head of one of the demons without hurting her. I'm going to try my best to demonstrate this. Give me 1 second. Alright, so unfortunately my plan didn't work. I was trying to get one of my quote-unquote allies to be registered as the enemy and then use the form on them, but unfortunately only registers as a target enemy, but we'll do that as well within the combat scenario. Next up is the 6th form, Whirlpool. Now this one's also not going to work, kind of the same thing as the Water Wheel, where it's not going to directly target these enemies. But the idea is it will drag them closer to you so you can follow up with the Water Wheel. Next up, we have the 7th form, Drop Ripple. This is just a much faster strike than the Water Surface Slash. Next, we have the 8th form Water Basin. Slash vertically in a flowing motion, damaging enemies in the radius of the target area. So pretty cool, pretty strong. Next, we have the 9th form Splashing Water Flow Turbulent. This is where you can basically mimic and increase your movement speed, have no problems with difficulty terrain, things like that. So, not really too much to showcase here other than the animation for using the ability, but still pretty good potential to get across the battlefield, like I mentioned earlier, pretty quickly. Next up is the 10th form, Constant Flux. Charge forward, perform a continuous flowing attack on up to 4 targets. Now this one's going to be a little bit harder to do. Again, kind of like how the improved version of Thunderclap and Flash was hard to showcase on these guys. We're definitely going to have to try and
that took the edge off.
basically try to showcase this in battle, but I'll try my best to see if it works here.
Going.
Yeah, as expected, it's not going to affect each one of these enemies simply because they're not technically enemies. So we'll definitely do that technique within the combat scenario. And then finally, we have the 11th form Dead Calm, which I do have an idea to try and showcase this. So I'm going to use this character
this
here.
Is at thy disposal. This soul.
So I'm going to try and use this character to attack my character as I am in the state of Dead Calm. By doing so, by entering turn-based mode. So we'll see if this works. If not, we'll have a chance to use it within combat. It is weird to concentration. I mean, it makes sense it is concentration. I just hope it doesn't break concentration. So let's see if we can get this to work. All right. So right now we're in Dead Calm. Can't move or take reactions. Has 20 Dead Calm reaction and extra AC of 5. So as you see, our AC is at 27. Pretty high AC, so it's definitely going to take a lot to hurt us. So we're going to end our turn here.
All's well that ends.
And then we're going to try and use this character
Not as bad as it
to
could
attack
have.
us and see what happens.
Let's get this over with.
You know, the environmental turn. Probably will do better actually showcasing this in combat. I'm not exactly sure if it's going to work.
What now?
Yeah, okay, so we'll try and showcase this in combat. I'm pretty sure it's more of like a reaction attack, more so than what we can do here in combat. So that's as much as I can do for the showcase. We'll go to the combat scenario. And again, hopefully you guys enjoy these. These are a little bit harder to showcase sometimes when the spells are dependent on enemy attacking and stuff like that, and just trying to find the perfect scenario within the Trials of Tav mod to showcase them. But in any case, hopefully you guys have enjoyed the videos. I'm going to be gone for a couple of days this weekend, so that's why I wanted to try and get these videos out throughout the rest of this week, so that way there's something up on the channel, and then we'll be back with more streams and things like that. So hopefully I'll catch you guys next time. Take care, and see you in the next video.
Your soul is in good hands. I'll strike you down.